Have you ever felt like you don't belong anywhere, even when surrounded by people who share your beliefs? That unsettling feeling that something's missing, even when everyone around you seems satisfied with the answers they've found? If so, this is the sign you've been waiting for. This message didn't reach you by accident. The universe has mysterious ways of connecting the chosen ones with their deepest truth. And today, at this very moment, that connection is happening. You are not alone in your search. You're part of an ancient lineage of souls who've always known that the sacred can't be contained within four walls. The truly chosen have never been in churches built by human hands. They've always been walking silently through the world, with souls as free as the wind, hearts constantly searching for something that transcends any name or definition. Allow yourself, for a few minutes, to abandon everything you believe you know about spirituality. Allow yourself to be touched by a truth that few have the courage to face. The divine doesn't need intermediaries, and you, yes, you who feel this restlessness, may be one of the chosen ones to rediscover a path that's always been there, but has been covered by layers of dogmas and traditions that no longer resonate with the truth of your being. How can you recognize if you're one of the chosen? The signs have been present in your life for a long time, but perhaps you've learned to ignore them, misunderstand them, or even fear them. Let's explore together these marks that define those who've been called to an authentic and boundless spirituality. The first sign is the constant feeling of being out of place. While others find comfort in rituals and dogmas, you feel an inexplicable void, a sense that you're just playing a role that isn't truly yours. You attend places of worship, repeat sacred words, participate in ceremonies, but deep down, a silent voice within you whispers, "There's more to this. This isn't everything. This isn't a flaw of yours, as you may have been led to believe. It's the first calling of your true self." The second sign manifests as a profound connection with the natural world and unexpected moments of transcendence. Have you ever found yourself paralyzed by the beauty of a sunset? Have you felt tears welling up in your eyes as you gaze at the vastness of the starry sky? Have you experienced an inexplicable sense of unity while walking in a forest or swimming in the ocean? These aren't casual moments, they're portals, momentary openings in the veil that separates the visible world from the invisible. The third sign is persistent questioning. Where others find certainties, you find questions. Not out of rebelliousness or disrespect, but because your soul isn't satisfied with ready-made answers. This thirst for deeper understanding isn't a lack of faith. It's evidence of a faith too mature to be content with simplifications. The chosen carry this restlessness as both a burden and a blessing. The fourth sign is heightened intuition. You often know things without knowing how you know them. You perceive truths that haven't been spoken. You sense energies that others ignore. You have vivid dreams or premonitions that come true. You receive insights that seem to come from nowhere, but carry profound wisdom. This isn't coincidence or a fertile imagination. It's your higher self communicating directly with you, without intermediaries. The fifth sign is heightened empathy. You feel the pain of others as if it were your own. You can understand different perspectives without judgment. You connect with the suffering of the world in a way that sometimes seems unbearable. This isn't weakness, it's the intuitive recognition of the fundamental truth that all genuine spiritual traditions point to. We are all one. If you identify with these signs, know that there are no coincidences in the universe. This message has reached you because the time has come to consciously embrace your journey as one of the chosen. The path of the chosen truly begins when you have the courage to question the structures that have shaped your spiritual understanding. It's not about rejecting everything, for there's wisdom in ancestral traditions, but about filtering what resonates with your inner truth and abandoning what serves only to control, limit, or instill fear. Organized religions began as channels to connect humans to the divine, but over time, many have become systems of control, power structures that determine who's in and who's out, who's pure and who's impure, who will be saved and who will be damned. The chosen perceive this distortion and refuse to participate in this game of separation and judgment. Liberation doesn't mean the absence of structure or discipline. On the contrary, it requires a much more rigorous inner discipline as you become responsible for your own spiritual journey. There's no longer a sacred book that dictates all the answers, a leader who takes responsibility for your choices, or a group that defines your identity. There's only you, your conscience, and the infinite universe with which you now relate directly. This freedom can be frightening at first. Like a bird that has spent its life in a cage, your wings may tremble when facing the open sky. You may miss the security of the walls that contained you. You may doubt your ability to fly on your own. This fear is natural. It's part of the journey. But remember, you weren't made to live confined by dogmas and limitations. Your essence is as free as the air, as vast as the sky. Being one of the chosen isn't a privilege without cost. There's a price to be paid for authenticity, and it's important that you're aware of it as you embark on this journey. The first challenge you'll face is loneliness. As you move away from established paths, you leave behind not only dogmas, but also communities. The sense of belonging that organized religions offer, the shared rituals, the collective celebrations, the comfort of being among equals. All this may become scarcer in your life. There will be times when you'll feel like a stranger in a world where most seek comfort in conformity. The second challenge is the judgment of others. Family, friends, and acquaintances may not understand your search. Some will interpret your journey as rebellion, confusion, or even a negative influence. They may try to bring you back on track, warn about imaginary dangers, or even distance themselves. This is a test of inner strength, the ability to remain true to your truth even when it isn't validated externally. The third challenge is the absence of clear maps. In organized religions, the path is laid out. There are specific rituals, texts to study, practices to follow, defined stages of spiritual development. On the journey of the chosen, you create your own map as you walk. There are moments of dense fog where the next step isn't clear. There are forks in the road where no one can decide for you. This autonomy is both liberating and dizzying. The fourth challenge is confronting the shadow self. By abandoning external systems of morality and salvation, you're forced to look at your own shadows, the denied, repressed, and feared aspects of your being. There's no longer the illusion that an external savior will resolve your internal issues, or that purification rituals will erase your flaws. There's only the constant work of integration, acceptance, and transformation. These challenges aren't punishments or obstacles. They're opportunities for growth, tests that forge your authenticity in the fire of experience. As Carl Jung, one of the great explorers of spirituality beyond dogmas, said, "What you resist persists. What you embrace transforms." The chosen often find their first genuine reconnection with the divine by allowing themselves to be absorbed by the beauty of the natural world. There's a reason why the great spiritual teachers sought enlightenment in forests, mountains, and deserts. Nature speaks directly to the soul, without the need for translation or interpretation. The sacred is in moments of authentic human connection, in the look of deep understanding between two people, in the compassionate touch that conveys more than words, in the shared silence that communicates more than speeches. The chosen discover that the divine manifests not only in contemplative solitude, but also in genuine communion with other beings. The sacred is in creation, in the music that makes your heart vibrate, in the art that awakens indescribable emotions, in the poetry that seems to capture the ineffable. The chosen recognize creative expression as a form of channeling the divine, a language that transcends the limitations of ordinary words. The sacred is in selfless service, in the act of giving without expectation of return, in the work performed with full presence, in the care offered to those who suffer. The chosen understand that authentic spirituality always manifests in concrete action in the world, not just in contemplation and rituals. And above all, the sacred is within you, not as an abstract concept, but as a living presence, an innate wisdom, a spark of the infinite. The chosen discover that the spiritual quest isn't a journey to an external destination, but a return to their own divine essence that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. Throughout human history, the true spiritual masters have always pointed beyond temples, dogmas, and rituals. Their teachings were often distorted and institutionalized after their death, but the essence of their message remains available to those who have ears to hear. Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, didn't found a temple or a religion. He sat under a tree and awakened to the nature of his own mind. His last advice was, "Be a light unto yourself." He didn't ask for followers, but for fellow travelers who would discover their own truth. Jesus of Nazareth didn't preach the construction of churches or the establishment of religious hierarchies. He spoke of the kingdom of heaven as a present reality, accessible to all, especially to the marginalized and the pure in heart. He directly confronted the religious establishment of his time, questioning empty rules and meaningless rituals. Rumi, the great mystic poet, transcended the boundaries of Orthodox Islam to sing about a divine love that can't be contained in any sacred book or mosque. His poetry celebrates spiritual intoxication, the divine madness that breaks all social and religious conventions. Ramana Maharshi didn't establish an organized religion. He sat in silence on Arunachala mountain and directed all seekers to a single question: who am I? His path was that of direct self-inquiry, without intermediaries. These and many other luminaries didn't come to create new dogmatic prisons, but to liberate. They didn't come to establish new rules, but to show that true spirituality transcends all rules. They didn't come to be worshipped, but to awaken in each human being the awareness of their own divinity. The chosen of today walk in the same path as these masters, not as imitators of their external forms, but as heirs to their spirit of freedom, questioning and direct discovery. How can you live this spirituality beyond churches in everyday life? How can you translate this understanding into a concrete practice that nourishes your soul and transforms your life? There's no single formula, as each chosen one must discover their own rhythm and their own practices. However, there are guiding principles that can illuminate your path. The first principle is presence. Authentic spirituality isn't in the mythical past, nor in the promised future. It's in the now. When you're fully present, observing the sunrise, savoring a meal, listening to a loved one, performing your work, you're in direct communion with the divine that permeates all existence. The practice of mindfulness, in its infinite variations, is the foundation of all genuine spirituality. The second principle is discernment. Without the guidance of external authorities, you must develop your own inner compass. This requires silence, contemplation, and the ability to distinguish between the voice of the ego, with its fears, desires, and conditionings, and the voice of inner wisdom. Ask yourself regularly, does this belief, practice, or action bring me closer to my essence or further away from it? Does it expand my consciousness or contract it? Does it promote integration or fragmentation? Your work, your relationships, your sexuality, your emotions, all of this is part of your spiritual journey. The question isn't what you do, but the awareness and intention with which you do it. The fourth principle is communion. Although the path of the chosen may be solitary at many times, it doesn't have to be walked in complete isolation. Seek connections with other authentic seekers, not to form new cults or follow new gurus, but to share experiences, inspire each other, and remember that others are also walking this road less traveled. The fifth principle is service. True spirituality always manifests as love in action. As your consciousness expands, your capacity to perceive the suffering of others and respond with compassion also expands. Ask yourself regularly, how can I be helpful? How can I alleviate suffering? How can I bring more beauty and truth to the world? The chosen learn to recognize and interpret the signs that appear on the path, not as superstitions or fantasies, but as a more subtle language that connects the visible to the invisible. Synchronicities are one of these signs, those moments when meaningful coincidences seem to occur, suggesting a hidden order behind the apparently random events. When you repeatedly encounter certain numbers, symbols, or themes, when you think of someone and that person contacts you soon after, when a book falls open exactly to the passage you needed to read, the universe is speaking to you. Dreams are another important portal, not just nighttime dreams, but also visions, intuitions, and altered states of consciousness that occur naturally. The chosen learn to cultivate a conscious relationship with their dreams, recognizing them not as mere productions of the brain, but as messages from the soul. Challenges and crises are also signs on the path, not as divine punishments, but as invitations to growth. When you lose something important, face an illness, or go through a period of spiritual darkness, these experiences aren't detours in your journey. They are the journey itself, opportunities for expansion, purification, and transformation. Meaningful encounters are powerful signs, those people who appear in your life at the exact moment, bringing a lesson, a mirror, a challenge, or support. The chosen recognize that there are no casual encounters. Each person on your path is a messenger, even and especially those who challenge your balance and peace. Nature is constantly sending signals to those who have eyes to see: the flight of a bird, the appearance of a specific animal in your life, the changes in the seasons, the patterns in the clouds, the movement of the stars. The chosen relearn the ancestral language of nature, reconnecting with the wisdom that our ancestors understood intuitively. Learn to trust this subtle communication. It's not about seeking external confirmation for your beliefs or projecting arbitrary meanings onto common events. It's about developing a refined sensitivity to the patterns and messages that are already present in your life. You may be wondering, if I'm not following an established religious path, what is the purpose of my spiritual journey? What was I chosen for? This is a profound question that each seeker must explore for themselves. But there's an understanding that often emerges on the journey of the chosen. You weren't chosen to escape this world, but to transform it. Not to transcend your humanity, but to live it fully. Not to achieve personal perfection, but to be a channel for collective healing. In an age of increasing polarization, dogmatism, and fundamentalism, the chosen have the essential role of being bridges between different traditions, between science and spirituality, between the old and the new. Your ability to see beyond labels and dogmas allows you to recognize truth wherever it manifests, without needing to declare it as the only truth. In a time of unprecedented environmental crisis, the chosen have the mission to rescue the understanding of the sacred in nature. While religious systems that separated the human from the natural have contributed to the unrestrained exploitation of the planet, your integrative vision recognizes that the Earth isn't a resource to be exploited or a temporary stage for the human drama. It's a living organism of which we're an integral part. In a society marked by materialism, consumerism, and superficiality, the chosen are guardians of depth, reminding everyone through their example that there's more to life than accumulation and entertainment, that there are mysteries that no technology can unravel, that there's a hunger in the human soul that no material possession can satisfy. In a culture dominated by fear, separation, and misinformation, the chosen are carriers of a radical message of love, unity, and truth, not as abstract concepts, but as lived realities that transform first the individual and, through them, the world around them. Your purpose isn't to convert others to your vision or create a new system of beliefs. It's to live your truth so fully and authentically that it naturally inspires others to discover their own truth. Have you ever felt this restlessness within yourself? This sense that there's something more beyond the ready-made answers and the well-worn paths? Have you ever experienced moments of deep connection that no ritual or dogma could fully explain? Have you ever felt like a stranger among those who share your nominal beliefs? Have you ever questioned traditions that everyone around you accepts without thinking? Have you ever felt a connection with the divine that seemed to transcend all religious structures? Have you ever had insights and understandings that didn't come from any book or teacher, but seemed to arise from the depths of your own being? Have you ever felt a compassion that surpassed all barriers of belief, culture, and identity? If you answered yes to any of these questions, this is the moment to recognize who you truly are. This is the moment to embrace your journey as one of the chosen, not out of vanity or elitism, but out of commitment to the truth that pulses in your heart. Share your experiences in the comments. What has your journey beyond churches been like? What challenges have you faced? What discoveries have illuminated your path? Your story may be exactly what another seeker needs to hear today. This isn't a path for everyone. Many find genuine comfort in established religious structures, and there's nothing wrong with that. Each soul has its own journey, its own rhythm, its own needs. The chosen aren't better or more advanced. They're simply souls who've been called to a particular form of spiritual exploration. As the sage Jiddu Krishnamurti said, truth is a pathless land. For those who've been called to explore this territory, no pre-established trail will be sufficient. They must have the courage to walk where there is no path, trusting only in their inner compass and the wisdom that emerges from the walking itself. If this message has resonated deeply with you, know that it wasn't by chance. The universe has its own methods of communication, and it has just spoken directly to your soul. Don't ignore this calling. Don't postpone it to a more convenient time. Don't stifle it with excuses or distractions. The moment of awakening is now. The moment to embrace your journey as one of the chosen is now. The moment to honor the sacred restlessness in your heart is now. It's not necessary to make dramatic announcements or radical external changes. The deepest transformation begins in the silence of your being, in the stillness of your consciousness. Start by paying attention to the signs. Start by asking the questions that no one around you is asking. Start by trusting the wisdom that already resides within you. If this message has touched something deep within your being, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to receive more content that nourishes your journey beyond churches. Together, as a community of authentic seekers, we can illuminate not only our individual lives, but the entire world. Because in the end, being one of the chosen isn't about separation or privilege. It's about responsibility. The responsibility to live with such authenticity and compassion that you become a beacon for others, a living reminder that true spirituality can't be confined to dogmas or institutions. It flourishes in the freedom of the heart that dared to choose its own path.